now, the end is near, and we must face the final curtain. So I'm going to say these words for the very last time. Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we smash apart the films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1-minute chunks so we can analyze them in scrupulous detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Road to Infinity podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco, and Kyle.
Yes, sir.
I love you.
Oh. I've memorized that paragraph, and that was the last time I'm ever going to have to say it.
This is the last time.
Yeah.
This is the end.
Yep. And we're in the after party. Whoop, whoop.
That was what we talked about, right? Well, we hope obviously everybody has enjoyed the amazing interview with Terry Notary, who again was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Wrapped up the movie, we're signing off, and we want to do this final bonus wrap-up episode, not just to thank everybody, but we have so many amazing comments that came through over the course of the run of the show of season 2. We wanted to spend some time and talk about those and thank everybody.
Yeah, you guys have been super cool with us joining the Marvel Movie Minute Next Reel Film Podcast Executive Lounge and posting stuff in there, following us on Twitter and doing stuff on Discord. We've had a lot of really vocal fans and also pointing out, things we might have missed or, maybe interpreted differently.
Absolutely.
Maybe some coloration issues on different televisions or something. You don't really know. We wanted to go through and sort of talk about some of the comments that were posted and give a shout out to some of our more vocal fans. And this is not just for those people. We know there's a lot of you out there who are silent. I myself am a huge podcast fan, and I never post anything. I tend to just be a very silent listener. And I hear you, I see you, and I respect you for doing the same thing. So don't feel like just because you never posted a comment or anything, this is not for you. This is just as much of a fan celebration for you, the silent majority, as it is for those of you who spoke up.
You're all in our hearts.
That's right. We all went through something together. It's possibly a traumatic experience, possibly a pleasurable one. Your mileage may vary, but we all came out the other side, and now we're celebrating the fact that we're all still here.
One of our first ones is Paul on Facebook. He was talking about, this is back from early on in the show. He was talking about, it was interesting that he had never gotten the Aikido reference, for when Bruce is taking the lessons at the beginning. Thought that was kind of cool. And, I think we had a comment about just make it good as a quote. I think that was a conversation between General Ross. He had mentioned that it probably is an extension of the gambling metaphor. You cashed in a lot of chips. He's making it good so that the promise is to make those chips, make sure that we've got value in what we're doing.
Yeah, makes as much sense as anything else. I mean, I made a big thing about trying to figure out what just make it good means. Is that a gambling term?
Maybe in terms of betting, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So no, that's a good observation.
I like that.
We had Jonathan mentioned, the dog.
Yeah.
Ricky. So he had some stuff to talk about this.
That's right. So yeah, as we got to, I think it was way back in episode 18, we were talking about Ricky. Oh, poor Ricky the dog. We assume he's still out there having his doggy life, but he was saying it's most likely that Ricky was named after Rick Jones. It's like, oh, of course. Yeah. The novelization was written by comics writer Peter David, and Peter David is a huge Rick Jones fan because he wrote Rick Jones for hundreds and hundreds of issues. So, of course, that would be why. Yeah.
Sounds good. And I think we did talk about that. I think we covered that later on. I think in a few minutes later. But no, great catch, though, obviously, for that. We had Paul come back again, talked a little bit about his experience watching Tim Roth.
That's right.
Awesome.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead, one of my favorite movies from that time. I also that's interesting to Gary Oldman and Tim Roth getting into some Shakespearean shenanigans.
Exactly. And he did say, which I know we've talked about this, the thumb prick with the needle.
Oh, right.
Saying that it was CG'd, but no, we confirmed later on that was all legit.
It was all, later on in the commentary, they revealed that really was a real thumb that got pricked, and that was real blood coming out of it. They did not say whose thumb it was, but it was a real thumb really being impaled with a real needle and real blood coming out of it. So, blah.
And I just want to say, if you all remember my aversion to needles, I know when it's real. I can tell you anyway. Okay, this was awesome. So I think we had a Laverne and Shirley reference, as we have all of our crazy references.
I think probably in the bottling plant.
Jeff puts lyrics to the song, and this just made me laugh so much. I mean, this actually works too, because it's just like,
wait, are we gonna get sued if I sing this?
well, it's not let's go for it. We'll see what happens with the melody.
Well,
we'll just try it. We'll see what happens. Let's go and see what happens. All right, ready?
I'll say, we'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then
yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Emil, Schlemazel, Hulk and Pfeffer Incorporated. He's gonna smash it. Shoot him in the face, he'll take it.
Put him in any space, he'll break it. He's gonna make your pain come true. Doing it Hulk's way. We probably should have practiced that.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, that was awesome. I love it. That's
well
fantastic.
done, Jeff. That was
exactly
a mashup no one would ever have expected coming.
I'm no way, man. So that's awesome. So Paul, this was around minute 16. That's when I think the soundboard came into effect.
Oh,
started
right.
Getting our act together.
Yeah, that was
he loved that
thing
and stuff. And then, he had a really, really good deep dive into the whole blood bottle sequence in the bottling factory. And just kind of like, the whole timing of that and stuff. He had some really great comments on that. We appreciated that.
Yep.
And also the whole his headcanon he mentioned was that the timeline of Blonsky being in Iraq or Afghanistan, and that he was getting him what Ross had to cash in the chips to do.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Like,
to
get him out of that combat situation and into this weird Brazilian mission.
You're right.
Yeah, so that would have taken some clout.
No, very good, very good observation, Paul. And then Jonathan. Okay, and I love this. I love when we had people many times say, I haven't been a real big fan of this movie, but wow, are you guys energetic about this?
It's part of our shtick, I think.
Yeah, it's our job. This is what we're here for.
That's right.
No, and I was just really appreciate that. We thought that was great. Paul came back, minute 31. Blonsky, we made the big funny thing about him saying weird, like weird's a funny thing. And he makes a good point that it's a PG-13 substitute for what could have been many other words.
Yeah, it was a nice thing comparing Ross to Lieutenant Gorman in Aliens.
Hudson, Vasquez.
They're cut off! Do something!
Oh, that's nice. It's because another guy in the van. Oh, good, he's coming in. I feel better already.
And then he also added on a little bit about, our Soupy Sales reference. He was like, how... I mean, when you go back and listen to this season, I understand there are references that people will just go, I'm listening. What are you doing? I'm listening to a podcast about an MCU movie called The Incredible Hulk. And they just talked about Soupy Sales. And people go off to Google and go,
Always learn something on this show. Right. Learn to get rid of this group here. This kid, I love him. Are we all right? Yeah. That's okay.
Whoa.
What is going on?
I really hope, and so if you ever wanted to post a message and you haven't, if anything that we recommended, like you should check out the making of And God Spoke, which is what that was in reference to, or any of these other weird tangents that we take you off to, and you did, I'd be interested to have you report back and say, I saw that thing, and either thank you for letting me see that, or what were you talking about? That thing was garbage. Like, I'm all happy to hear back about that kind of stuff, because I'm also interested to see anybody who does a deep dive into some weird thing we mentioned that no one had ever heard, that they'd never heard of before, and go, that was really a thing that existed? Like, oh yeah.
People will follow up with, you guys either need to keep drinking whatever you're drinking or not drink what you're drinking. So it could go either way. We understand that. He also had some great stuff about the escape route that Banner had, and some really great stuff in the deep dive of how that may have all worked out. And then let's see, he talked about the laptop and
but I gotta say, one of the best lines he had in there. Shout out to Paul, who's like right on our same wavelength as he said. Skip Stevenson is no John Davidson, and definitely no Fran Tarkington.
On tonight's edition of
That's incredible.
And kudos.
Yes. Again, and what is that a reference to? Well, that's a Real People That's Incredible crossover.
That's right.
And if you know what we're talking about, great. If not, Google it.
Enjoy being young.
It's just, yeah, that's stuff. And then Blonsky talked a little bit about that. I mean, this was great. This was like a 5-point thing, which was awesome. And then we talked about the resetting the clock to zero, where he wakes up in Guatemala, a little kind of an allegory to Eden, feeling the shame about being naked. Basically, he wanting to have some attribute that shame is coming from having lost control. That's great. And then we talked about a little bit about the nudity and stuff that we had talked about, that, you know, if this were a different place.
Obviously, I mean, the thing is, this is still a comic book movie, and so Marvel has very specific rules about what your characters can and can't do. And so one of them is, being naked.
Right. And that brought up a great conversation with everybody. Jonathan was in on that and everybody. Yep. So that was a ton of fun. And then we've got Paul was talking about, the interesting thing about ownership, the idea of how General Ross gets this idea that it is his property.
Yeah.
And all of that comes with technology development and everything else. And we thought that was a great point. That almost like he signed himself away. You know,
by agreeing to do this. That's right. You've given up your individual liberty because you're now part of the machine.
Okay, so this was good. Joseph brought up the Mr. Pink reference as the Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, all right.
That's Buscemi. Now, and I did make a note. That's Buscemi's character.
Yeah.
However, we did not mention that, and that should have been something we should have made a note of. And then he also brought up the hairdo. This was funny. Speaking of your love for the Marvel disguise, since he doesn't have the hat, does he just use the hairstyle and think that will be a substitute? Very funny.
There's power in those caps.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then we had Joseph talk about, this was a good one. This was minute 61.
Mm-hmm. This is off of Discord.
Yes. This is when they're in the cave and he throws the rock. We've said he's mad. He's throwing the rock at the thunder. He thinks it's because he was actually struck by lightning. And if you do watch that scene, there's a moment where the bright flashes right there. There may be something to that. That maybe the implication is that, no, it's not just the noise. It's that it's hurting him. It's actually like, a conduit of some kind, and it struck him. And that would explain how intense the flash is there. So you know what? That's something good to consider. A talk about the numbers that we had. So the number 7867, which I believe that came up somewhere probably like minute 80 or somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. And talking about that, it may have been a reference to Astonish number 93, which had come out in around that time, like July of 67 or somewhere in there. And so, and that is because it's the Hulk and the Submariner, and it involves the Silver Surfer, and
that was back in the classic times before they had their own individual titles. So this was actually Tales to Astonish Comics number 93, and that had stories about the Hulk and the Submariner and Silver Surfer showing up.
Yeah, no, but that's great. No, that's a good find. Yeah, good find. Ben posted the great quote. The closest you can get to knowing what it's like to be a ghost is listening to a podcast where the hosts are trying to remember a piece of trivia that you know.
Right. I assume this is when we're talking about Reservoir Dogs, and we're like, what was everyone's colors? And I'm sure
there's a couple moments
out there we're like, come on.
We try to edit those out, but then sometimes we like to be transparent and know that we forget things too.
And we're not fast on the Googling. But yes, I feel the same way because I do the same thing. Even when I listen to Next Reel shows, and I'm like, how can you not know this?
It's hard sometimes concentrating, and you're trying to do everything right. And Jeff had a great call out to you. Not only did he love the Nerf or nothing.
Now that was Nerf perfect.
It's Nerf or nothing.
That's right.
Comment. But then you were a prophet, Kyle.
That's true. That's true. Sometimes I can see to the future of pop culture. We'll see a Snyder cut before we see a Leterrier cut. And he said, that is true, because of when I said that, there was before anything, it was still just a pipe dream. But then by the time it had aired, they had announced there is really a Snyder cut and it's coming. And as we record this, DC Fandom is just happening, and they actually put out a full trailer for it. So it is super real.
It's
absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Really real? No, that's awesome. That was a great pull. And then as we got more towards the end here, Paul had a couple things on minute 97. Now this is interesting.
This is about the camera move that going out from the Hulk and going into the helicopter, and then into finding Ross and Betty inside.
Right. And we talked about, he had said, now, and again, this might be different, who knows, and this could have something to do with encoding or a bunch of different things, but his moment of black is a lot shorter. I mean, I went back and looked at our version, and if you count it, I mean, I just stopped watching everything, and from the moment that it's basically the screen is 85% black to the moment it comes out is a full 3 seconds, which is still a lot.
Yeah, but in cinematic times, it's sort of like it's almost interminable. Like, oh my God, did something go wrong? Is the projector down? What happened?
Exactly. So no, that's interesting. Just the whole way everybody sees things differently.
Yeah.
As we found out about our color, there were some questions about our decision to talk about the color thing of Abomination.
Yeah.
Let me just say this: it's the difference between soups.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So
split pea
versus
pea versus. Wow,
I'd say
that got odd.
If you had taken all your crayons and organized them by color, they would definitely be next to each other.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're going with.
Yeah. So,
and not even out of like the 128 pack, like the 64 pack.
Right. Like
32.
Is it like
64.
sea green and pea green and like it's just slight shades different. But I say, or you can also if you go and look at the toys from the time too, they like very clearly made him like yellow, which he really was not in the movie.
Oh yeah, or sand,
like, just a difference. Or sand, yeah, sand.
Yeah. But then there's the Mighty. I think you gave me the set of the Mighty Mites. They're both green.
Yeah, there's a set of Mighty Mugs back in the day.
Mighty Mugs, yeah.
And so yeah, as a wrap gift, I bought the set of Hulk and Abomination for Rob.
Yes.
So they'll join his right now. Yeah, that's right. They'll join his small army of toys that he has in his office.
So then, and then we had some other stuff too. As we got, I think, minute 99 about we had gotten to this conversation about the physiology of the characters.
They talk about it in the commentary a lot too. There's a whole discussion that Tim Roth and them had about like, so Hulk wears pants and Abomination doesn't wear pants, and so that's the question of like he's got the bone codpiece. And so, yeah, we talked about that. And then, yeah, as on Facebook, Paul posted that comment. And then, so my answer, I tried to do the GIF, but I couldn't find the right GIF. So I found an image from The Shape of Water where the protagonist describes how her fishman hides his particular set of genitals, which I thought was kind of appropriate.
You had to see that movie to know that.
Yeah, exactly. There's some more homework for you. It's an Oscar-winning film by Guillermo del Toro, so I assume a lot of people have seen that.
And confused by it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and then Paul, as we know, we had a lot of people totally excited about the Terry Notary interview.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, that was, and we kept that as a surprise too. Like, because the day we did it, we sent a message to the Next Reel guys, like, by the way, this just happened, and Rob sent the picture of the two of us with Terry, like on the screen at the same time, and they were over the moon. Like, how did you guys, you two that we just hired out of nowhere, how did you two land this interview? And so we kept that secret for months. Because that was in the middle of like the dark times of quarantine that we did that.
It does. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So they were super helpful about that too, about keeping that secret so that you guys could be pleasantly surprised when you tune in the next episode and suddenly there's a freaking movie star on our little show.
We just wanted to do a quick selection of some of our favorite comments. And thanks to everybody. I mean, everybody who tuned in, and especially when you participate. And as Kyle, as you said,
yeah.
I mean, a lot of people we know don't comment.
Exactly.
We want you to feel comfortable. We want you to feel a part of the show, even if you are a listener or involved in discussions. We just love sharing this, and we have loved doing this.
Yep. Shout out to my friend Jason, who is another longtime listener who contacted me on Facebook as we were friends, and wanted to say how much he was enjoying the show too. I even asked if he wanted to be on, and he politely declined because he's a shyer of people, but he's always loving the show, so it's always nice to hear from people like that too. Just because you haven't commented or joined Discord or the Facebook group doesn't mean you're any less of a fan. We like all of you equally.
Now, as we say all this, I'm getting sentimental because this is.
I know that's it now.
Pretty much it,
right? This is like I say, we've delayed as long as we could. We tried to give shout outs to the fans as much as we can, but we've got no more trivia left, Rob. We've got nothing more to say about
what we were
Major
told
Spar
is Major Spar, 5 stars for Spar, please,
or the anatomical differences between our two titans.
Coke machines.
That's
all
right.
That stuff.
We've talked. We've talked about Edward Norton's face for the last time.
I know, this is it. Now, we were told by the higher ups, like, so this is it. We were supposed to close, and then we're gonna introduce the new hosts for season 3 are gonna come in. So
yeah. So what do we do? Like we just sign off, and then you're gonna play like a sound
Man.
effect or something, and then they come in and they record their own thing. Oh, Lonely Man has to be our outro.
Yeah, we'll probably do that. All right, well, that's it. So we're gonna hang out. We're gonna leave, and then these new guys are gonna show up here, and
So all right. So that's it for us. So I hope you enjoyed our time together with the Hulk, so we'll hand off to the new crew for season 3 of the Marvel Movie Minute. Until next time, true believers.
bye.
Okay. All right. Oh, come on. You know we couldn't leave just when we're having fun.
Wait, what? We're back?
That's right, baby. Season 3, Iron Man 2.
Yes!
It's going to be me, Kyle. It's going to be you, Rob. And it's going to be a rotating panel of guest stars.
We're gonna finally. Okay, so what? Yes, is the show. Let's talk about this.
Hulk is done. Now we're moving on to Iron Man 2, and we thought bigger, bolder, braver, and let's have some new voices in the mix too.
It's gonna be a blast. We've gotten our comfort zone now set. We know what we're doing.
Yep.
Sort of. I mean,
as much as anyone can.
But we're totally we're gonna have some guests that come in for a variety of intermittently parts of the show, all the course of the Iron Man 2 movie. You're still gonna get the same humor and the same references.
Obscure references. Yeah.
And I got to tell you, and we've got some surprises set up.
We do.
Season 3.
Now that we sort of know what we're doing a little bit, and we can plan out a little bit farther. We've got some fun stuff planned. Now, I will say a couple of things. First of all, the Terry Notary thing was a 1 in a million shot. So don't expect that suddenly we're going to have Scarlett Johansson joining us on the show or anything. She politely declined.
Did we get that memo?
We did. We got a polite decline. So
how about Robert Downey Jr.?
That also had a polite decline.
Sam Rockwell?
Also a polite decline. I gotta say, shout out to all of their people, because I seriously, I could have just gotten a hard no or even ghosted, but these people were very professional and they said no thank you. Like they basically said, oh, they're not interested in that at this time. So I wouldn't expect that we would pull off that sort of thing again, but we're still gonna but we're still gonna have a lot of fun, so don't worry about that. But here's what's going to be interesting about Iron Man 2. Rob, how do you feel about Iron Man 2 as a movie? Like, what is your gut feeling? Like when you think about Iron Man 2, like what comes to mind?
Excitement, energy, humor, story, characters. I burst with just enthusiasm. I really do. I love this movie.
That's interesting, because when I think of Iron Man 2, I think of bloated, overdone. I think of terrible character arcs. I think of birds. I think of one of the biggest messes in all of the MCU. So as we're approaching this, we're not going to approach it like we did Hulk in terms of like, yeah, it's all right, we're going to do it. I think Rob is going to be like, this is the most amazing thing ever. And I'm going to be like, this should never have been shot.
Let me tell you something about season 3. Every single minute of this show is it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a battle. There will be a loser and there will be a winner, and the winner gets the boys.
And I will make you bleed, and the sharks will come.
No, we are. We are
diametrically opposed. I mean, obviously,
we are totally.
There's a level in this. Like, I do not think it's one of the worst movies ever made, which I have had that conversation with other people. But I think it's probably the worst movie that Marvel has ever put together.
Oh no!
Yes. So we're going to be we're still friends. We're not going to be like fighting this whole time. But we do have very, very different opinions, and so we're going to be doing some ranking as we go along about
now think about this.
Which way the teeter-totter is going to go, and then maybe at the end the fans will decide like which of us actually made our case better.
Okay. Now think about how you definitely have to tune in for season 3. We love you.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be great. So yeah, so stay subscribed. Make sure that you don't knock us off of your feed. We're gonna take a little break just to like wash the Hulk out of our system and then ingest all of the Iron Man evil. And then we'll be back to discuss it in depth. And like I say, this is all in good fun. We're going to have a good time with it. And one thing I will say about Iron Man 2, having already started my research, is it is full of stuff. Like I don't think we're going to have a minute where we're going to not have things to talk about. We're going to have to sort of tap dance our way through because Iron Man 2 is, I would almost say, bloated with content.
Yeah.
So there'll be lots of things that we can talk about. So thank you for listening. Stay subscribed. We will see you back here in a little bit when we come back to discuss Iron Man 2. Until next time, true believers.
Bye.